Good morning, dear students. Hope you are all doing good and staying sane. This is Malti. Welcomes you for Edistar video session for Class 10 Biology Chapter 15, our Environment Part 1. So in this session, we will be discussing about the subtopics like environment, results of adding our waste to the environment, ecosystem, types of ecosystem, the components of ecosystem, and besides that we'll be discussing about the different types of organisms which obtain their food from the environment like producers, consumers and decomposers. So let's get started with the environment. So what do you mean by the word environment? So environment is nothing but an organism's immediate surroundings which includes everything around the organism. In other words, we can also say that it is a physiological and a biological world where we live in, right? So our environment includes two main worlds. They are the physiological world and the biological world. So physiological world is also called as abiotic components and the biological world is also called as biotic components. So physiological world, that is the components of physiological world consists of air, water bodies, minerals, soils, humidity, wind. These are all the components of physiological worlds. And biological world includes the organisms like plants, animals, human beings and microorganisms like bacteria and fungi. So here, the entire physiological and the biological components are dependent on one another and so they interact with each other in order to maintain a balance in the environment, right? So human beings are the only organisms who can change their environment to fulfill their demands. So we know that the increase in the human population, uncontrolled human activities and the advent of new technologies have been damaging the balanced and the healthy environment, isn't it? So which in turn leads to the several environmental related issues and the problems as well. So in this chapter, we shall discuss how various factors in the environment interact with each other and how the human activities affect the various biogeochemical cycles involving essential nutrients like nitrogen, carbon, oxygen and water. So we shall also look into the most prominent problems of environment such as waste accumulation and the depletion of ozone layer. So now let's discuss the consequences of accumulation of waste in our environment. First, the results of adding our waste to the environment. So what happens if we add the waste to the environment? Let's see. So the various activities of animals including human beings have resulted in the production of lot of useless materials or discarded materials, right? So these waste materials can be in the form of gaseous form like smokes from industries, automobiles, and the liquid form of sewage water effluents from the industries, and the solids form like food waste, food canning industries, industrial solid waste, chemical waste and all, right? So waste are classified into two groups, that is biodegradable waste and non-biodegradable waste. First let us see about biodegradable waste. So biodegradable waste, that can be substances that are broken down by the biological process, that is called as biodegradable waste. And these substances are decomposed through the action of fungi, bacteria and other living organisms as well, right? So temperature and the sunlight also plays an important role in the decomposition of biodegradable substances. So let's see in detail. So biodegradable waste. So we know that the waste which are broken down and disposed of in the nature due to the action of microorganisms like bacteria or saprophytes are decomposed in course of time, that is called as biodegradable waste, right? So these waste like paper cups, vegetable peel, leather bags, jute bags, papers, waste papers and organic waste, cattle dung, compost are all the biodegradable waste. Right? Usually biodegradable waste do not pollute the environment, but a large amount of biodegradable waste cannot be degraded completely and will harm and pollute the environment as well. Right? For example, when biodegradable waste gets accumulated anywhere, they begin to stink and produces a fouls gases and become breeding centers for mosquitoes, flies and rats as well. So this results in the spreading of number of pathogens and all. right? Next, let us see about non-biodegradable waste. So the waste which cannot be broken down by the biological process, that is called as non-biodegradable waste. So it may be in the form of solid state or a liquid state or in the form of gaseous form too, right? And these substances are inert and simply persist in the environment for a long period of time or may harm the members of ecosystem, which includes DDT, insecticides, pesticides, mercury, lead, arsenic, aluminium, plastics, polythene bags, glass and other radioactive waste. So what do you mean by DDT? DDT is nothing but dichloro, diphenyl, trichloroethane. So these are all the waste which cannot be broken down and disposed of in the nature in course of time, and they are called as non-biodegradable waste. So polythene bags, plastics, synthetic fibers, pen refills, iron nails, glass objects, silver foil, they are all non-biodegradable waste, right? So the industries also produce a large number of non-biodegradable waste consisting of heavy metals, synthetic chemicals, toxins and all, right? So these waste cannot be broken down by the heat or the pressure, temperature or even by microorganisms. So hence what happens, this causes a major pollutants of environment. Clear? So apart from that, let us see the effects of non-biodegradable waste. Because of this non-biodegradable nature, the waste gets accumulated and affect our environment. How it affects the environment? The combustible substances in the non-biodegradable waste, when it is burnt, will produce a harmful gases and the smokes, right? So the soluble chemicals in the non-biodegradable waste enter the food chain and undergo biomagnification and affect the various levels of consumers in the food chain. So the heavy metals, synthetic chemicals and the toxins from the industries enter slowly into the soil and make the groundwater unfit for drinking purposes and all, right? So you have studied about the detailed information about non-biodegradable waste. Now let's see about ecosystem, right? So all living organisms in the various communities regularly interact with each other and also with their physical surroundings to maintain a balance in the nature. So this collection of interacting organisms in an area together with the non-living constituents of an environment form an ecosystem, right? And the basic concept of ecosystem is that one living organism is dependent on other organisms and interact with other organisms through the food chain, right? So that is, one organism consumes another organisms and in turn consumes by the some other organisms, thus building a complete food chain. So we know that plants interact with the air to get carbon dioxide and with water bodies for photosynthesis, right? So the various communities of living organisms along with the air, soil and the water of that region forms a self-contained functional unit of the living world as well, right? So ecosystem can be defined as a self-contained system consisting of a biological environment as well as physical environment interacting and exchanging materials between them. Clear? So next, let us see about the different types of ecosystem. An ecosystem may be as small as a piece of a decaying wood or as large as a forest or an ocean as well, right? So it can be temporary as a rain-fed pond or permanent as a lake and a forest and all. So the structural and the functional unit of the biosphere is called as ecosystem, right? So based on the nature, ecosystem is classified into two types, that is natural ecosystem and artificial ecosystem. So natural ecosystem that exists in the nature of its own, like forest, lake and the ocean and all. So natural ecosystem is further classified into aquatic ecosystem and the terrestrial ecosystem. So what do you mean by aquatic ecosystem? That means it occurs in the water bodies such as ponds, lakes, rivers, marines, estuaries and all, right? And the terrestrial ecosystem occur over the land such as forest, grasslands, deserts and all. Clear? Next, let us see about the artificial ecosystem. So, man-made ecosystem are also called as artificial ecosystem, right? For example, crop field, aquarium and a garden and all. Now, let us see in detail about the natural ecosystem. So, natural ecosystem. The ecosystem that has been developed in the nature without any human interference, that is called as natural ecosystem, right? In other words, we can also define that as the ecosystem that has been developed by the nature without the disturbance of the humans, right? So, natural ecosystem includes the pond, forest, lake, ocean, desert and all. Clear? So, next let us see about the artificial ecosystem, right? So, artificial ecosystem that are created and maintained by the man, right? And it is also called as, what I said, is a man-made ecosystem. So, the artificial ecosystem includes garden, which has been maintained by the gardener. He grows various types of plants such as grass, trees and the flower-bearing plants like rose, jasmine, sunflower and all, right? And another example of artificial ecosystem is crop field and aquarium as well. Clear? So, next, let us see about the components of ecosystem. So, components of ecosystem are grouped into two types, that is abiotic components and biotic components. So, abiotic components like air, water and the land, and biotic components like plants and animals are the examples, right? And the word abiotic refers to non-living things. Thus, the abiotic components are the non-living components which includes the non-living and physiochemical factors for the environment. So, these components not only affect the distribution and the structure of an organism, but also their behavior and the interrelationships too, right? So, the word biotic refers to the living organisms present in the ecosystem form the biotic components, right? So, the biotic component is further divided into producers, consumers and decomposers. And consumers again is further divided into herbivores, carnivores, omnivores and parasites as well, right? So, now let us discuss in detail about the abiotic components. So, the various abiotic factors of the ecosystem includes the climatic or the physical factors, edaphic factors, topographic factors and other inorganic substances. So, now let us discuss each one in detail, right? First one is the climatic factors. So, the climatic factors includes light, temperature, humidity, wind, rainfall, water and all, right? And next, the edaphic factors. So, the edaphic factors includes the soil and its condition like minerals, pH and all, right? So, the edaphic factors helps to determine the type of the vegetation and the animals that can live in that condition and all, right? Next, the topographic factors. So, the topographic factors includes the nature of the earth's surface such as valleys, mountains, plains. These topographic factors help to determine the type of the ecosystem that spread in the particular area. Clear? Next, the non-living substances, right? So, the non-living substances includes both organic and inorganic substances. So, the inorganic substances includes carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, calcium, phosphorus and all. And these occur either in the form of the compounds dissolved in the water in the soil or in a free state in the air, right? So, these inorganic substances keep the recycling in the ecosystem. Next, the organic components, right? So, these organic compounds includes carbohydrates, proteins, lipids, nucleic acids and high energy compounds and all, right? So, these are present in the living organisms and the dead organic matter as well, right? So, the dead organic matter is broken down by the action of the decomposers into inorganic substances for their recycling. Clear? Right. Next, let's discuss about the biotic components. So, the word biotic refers to what I said is living, right? The living organisms present in the ecosystem form the biotic component as well, right? So, the population of the living organisms present in the ecosystem that is called as biotic community, right? So, the biotic components are made up of different interdependent populations, clear? And based on the mode of the obtaining food, the biotic community can be classified into three main categories, that is producers are also called as autotrophs, consumers are also called as heterotrophs and decomposers are also called as saprotrophs, right? So first let us see about the producers. So organisms which prepare their own food, that is called as producers, like phytoplanktons, zooplanktons, green plants, blue-green algae and all, right? Next, the consumers are also called as what I said is heterotrophs. So organisms which depend on other plants and animals, example all animals and the human beings as well, right? Next, the decomposers. So organisms which consumes on dead remains of the other organisms are called as decomposers. Example, mushrooms and petrifying bacteria. Clear? Next, let's discuss about the producers in detail. Right? So there are two different types of producers. One is terrestrial producers and aquatic producers. So the organisms which can prepare their own food from the simple inorganic substance using the solar energy in the presence of chlorophyll, they are called as producers. Right? So these includes all the green plants and the blue-green algae as well, and even the bacteria too. Right? So the minute microscopic organisms, that is plants or animals which float freely on the surface of the water or in the lakes, rivers, ponds and all, that they are called as planktons. Clear? So the planktons provides food for many fish and other aquatic animals as well, right? So the planktons are of two types. One is zooplanktons and phytoplanktons. So the phytoplanktons are the minute microscopic aquatic plants which float freely on the surface of the water. So these phytoplanktons are capable of preparing their own food by the process of photosynthesis, and it includes free floating algae as well, right? So apart from that, these zooplanktons are the minute microscopic aquatic animals which float freely on the surface of the water. So it includes free floating protozoans and very small fishes. Clear? So now let's see the main functions of the producers in the ecosystem. So it helps to trap the solar energy and convert it into the chemical energy. So it prepares the food from inorganic raw materials as well. So it also maintains the carbon dioxide and the oxygen gases in the atmosphere, and it initiates food chains. Clear? So next, let us see about consumers, right? So the consumers, the organisms which are unable to synthesize their own food and depend on the energy stored by the producers are known as consumers, right? So they are also known as heterotrophs. The consumers obtain their food either directly or indirectly. If an animal eats the grass or any plant products, it means that the animal is getting the food from the producers directly. On the other hand, when the lion obtains his food by eating a deer which eats the grass, then the lion is obtaining the food from the producers indirectly. Clear? So the consumers are of four types, namely primary consumers, secondary consumers, tertiary consumers and quaternary consumers. So let us see about the primary consumers first. So the primary consumers obtain their food directly from the producers, that is the plants. Hence we can say that the primary consumers are the first order consumers, which includes animals eating plants or the plant product as well. So they are also called as herbivores. Clear? So the common herbivores in the terrestrial ecosystem includes cow, deer, goat, camel, rabbit, hare, horse, ox, elephant and all, right? And the common herbivores in the aquatic ecosystem includes snails, mosquitoes, larvae and tadpoles, etc. Clear? Next, the secondary consumers. The secondary consumers are the second order consumers, which includes animals feeding on the herbivores as well. So these are the primary carnivores. Clear? So those animals which eat only the flesh of other animals are called as carnivores, right? The common primary carnivores in the terrestrial ecosystem includes frog, kingfisher, lizard, fox, etc. right? And the common secondary consumers in the aquatic ecosystem includes water bugs, water beetles, small fishes and all, right? Next, the tertiary consumers. The tertiary consumers are the third order consumers, which include large animal feeding upon the primary consumers. So they are called as secondary carnivores. Clear? So the common secondary carnivores in the terrestrial ecosystem includes wolves, snakes, fox, and even different types of animals like snakes and all. And the common tertiary consumers in the aquatic ecosystem includes water birds, large fishes, etc. Clear? Next, the quaternary consumers. So the quaternary consumers are the fourth order consumers which feeds upon the primary consumers as well. So these are called as the tertiary carnivores, right? The quaternary consumers are not eaten by the animals, and so they are called as top carnivores. Clear? So the common tertiary carnivores in the terrestrial ecosystem includes tiger, lions, hawks, eagles, right? And the common tertiary consumers in the aquatic ecosystem includes crocodiles, sharks, and other big fishes. Clear? Right. Next, let us see the functions of the consumers in the ecosystem. So the main functions of the consumers in the ecosystem includes, that is, it provides biological control over the population of the producers, and it also helps the producers in pollination and seed dispersal. Clear? Right. So we have seen different types of consumers here, that is primary consumers, secondary consumers, tertiary consumers, and quaternary consumers. So apart from that, that is the omnivores and the parasites are also there. So there are some organisms which eat both plants and animals, and these organisms are called omnivores. And parasites, there is another group of organisms which obtain their nourishment from their other organisms without killing them. So these organisms are called as parasites. Next, let us see about decomposers. So the decomposers are the non-green microorganisms which are incapable of producing their own food, right? So these decomposers depend on the dead and the decaying plants and animal bodies as well. So these microorganisms have the ability to break down the complex organic compounds present in the dead organisms and their products into simpler substances, and these microorganisms are called as decomposers. Clear? So there are certain bacteria and fungi which act as the decomposers as well. So these bacteria are called as putrefying bacteria. Both bacteria and the fungi secrete a substance which decomposes the organic matter in the dead plants and animals to simpler substances along with the liberation of carbon dioxide, ammonia and all. So some of the simpler substances are also released into the soil, water and air for the recycling process. Clear? So thus we can also say that decomposers helps in recycling of the materials into the ecosystem as well. So hence decomposers are also known as micro consumers, are also called as saprotrophs or even reducers. Clear? And apart from that, let us know about the functions of the decomposers in the ecosystem. So the main function is to help in decomposing the dead bodies of the plants and the animals as well. So they act as the natural scavengers as they clean the remains of the dead bodies from the environment. Clear? So they decomposes the dead bodies of the plants and animals and release various nutrient elements present in the dead bodies back to the nutrient pool to make the cyclic process of the life to go on like an unending chain. Right? So they create space for the newer generations of organisms, thereby maintaining the ecosystem as well. So if there is no decomposers, so life without decomposers, what happens? If there were no decomposers, then the dead bodies of the plants and the animals would remain as such, and various nutrient elements will not be recycled back into the nutrient pool as well. Clear? So all the nutrients present in the soil, air and water would soon be exhausted, and evolution of the life would come to an end. Right? So thus we can conclude that decomposers plays the major role in the maintaining the healthy and the balanced ecosystem by replenishing the elements from the bodies of the dead organisms and recycling back the nutrients present in the soil, air and the water as well. So far that's all of this, and so far we have discussed about our environment, results of adding our waste to the environment, classification of the waste like biodegradable waste, non-biodegradable waste, and ecosystem like classification of ecosystem which includes natural, artificial ecosystem and all. And apart from that, we have discussed about the components of ecosystem which includes biotic and abiotic components. and abiotic components, we have seen about the climatic factors, edaphic factors, topographic factors, and non-living substances and all, right? Like organic and inorganic substances. And biotic factors like producers, consumers, and decomposers. So go through this video twice as well. Compare with your NCERT textbook, read it, make notes of your own, prepare questions and find out answers regarding, and write it in your classwork note as well. Clear? So that all that's all of this session, and we'll continue the next part in the next upcoming videos. Until then, this is Malati signing off. Thank you.